So before we select columns and mobile phases, we need to understand three interconnected factors that control separation, that is column length, pressure and flow rate. Now column length, it impacts your resolution. Longer column will provide more theoretical plates and higher resolution, but it will also increase your analysis time. Whereas temperature and pressure, as you increase the temperature of the oven, the pressure decreases due to changes in mobile phase viscosity. Flow rate is directly related to pressure. When you increase your flow rate, the pressure would increase. Now let's talk about selecting the right column. Now as you know, there are two types of column. One is polar column and second is non-polar column. So mostly used columns in LCMS or HPLC is reverse phased column, that is your non-polar column. Example C18 and C8. Whereas in polar column, that is normal phase column, example would be silica column or carbohydrate columns. For most applications, start with C18 columns. C18 has longer carbon change and is denser than C8. With the denser packing increases the surface area and interaction time, providing greater separation ability for complex molecules. When you should choose C8 columns. Now C8 provides shorter retention time and sharper peaks, making these columns better for small organic compounds, while C18 are better for long chain fatty acid and complex molecules. Think of it this way. If you want more retention and greater separation for complex mixture, use C18. If your peaks are too broad or retention is too strong, switch to C8 for faster elution and sharper peaks. Now let's talk about particle size in HPLC column. Now as you all know, HPLC column is bedded with porous silica particles. Now this porous silica particles diameter is called as particle size. So the standard particle size for HPLC column is 5 micron. And if you all want to increase the efficiency and resolution, you all can go with 3 micron, 1.8 micron. Now let's talk how particle size affects the performance. So this will affect your efficiency and resolution. The smaller the average particle size, the smaller the vortex diffusion, the better the mass transfer and higher the column efficiency. So smaller HPLC particle size minimizes mass transfer resistance. This means it takes less time for analyte to travel into stationary phase, interact with it and return to mobile phase, ensuring faster equilibrium and better separation quality. Just changing from 5 micron to 3 micron particle and keeping all the other factors constant will produce an increase of 20 to 25% in efficiency and subsequently around 9 to 12% of increase in chromatographic resolution. Now let's talk about the pressure impact. Now the smaller particles generally provide more surface area and better separation. But the pressure required for optimum linear velocity increases by the inverse of the particle diameter squared. Here's the dramatic impact. According to the equation of the column velocity, efficiencies and back pressure, reducing the particle diameter by half and keeping the size of the column the same will double the column velocity and efficiency, but would increase 4 times the back pressure. Now let's talk about the mobile phase selection in LCMS. Now we must be aware that only volatile buffers can be used in mass spectrometry. We cannot use non-volatile buffer or else it would contaminate your ion source. Now widely used mobile phases for LCMS is 0.1% formic acid. In A phase it is going to be water and B phase it is going to be your organic phase such as methanol and ACN. Now why this acidic mobile phase is used is because it would yield highest sensitivity in positive electrospray ionization mode. So this is your default starting point for positive mode in LCMS. So here are the practical pH ranges for common MS compatible buffer. That is, if you want acidic, then you can go with formic acid. Then little more near basic than acetic acid, then ammonium formate and ammonium acetate. Now here's a critical rule that you have to never use phosphate buffer for LCMS. And why? Because they are non-volatile and will contaminate your source, causing signal loss and requiring extensive cleaning. The modern trend is to use lower buffer strengths such as 5 to 20 millimolar, which provides sufficient buffering capacity in most applications. Buffer concentration should be below 25 millimolar for electrospray ionization. Otherwise, it will cause contamination in your source. There will be a lot of deposition of your buffers and thus it will reduce your sensitivity. Now coming to another most important parameter that is used to optimize your chromatography separation. That is your gradient elution strategies. Now in this there are two methods. First is isocratic method and second is gradient method. In isocratic methods, same ratio of mobile phase is used throughout your analysis time. For example, mobile phase A is water and mobile phase B is methanol. So if you have said that mobile phase A is 10% and mobile phase B is 90%, so throughout your analysis time, suppose your run time is 5 minutes, so throughout your 5 minutes, the mobile phase percentage would remain the same. While in gradient method, maybe the initial percentage of mobile phase A and B would be different. In midsection, we could make a little difference in them. Maybe we could increase your aqueous phase and decrease your organic phase. And later, towards the end of your runtime, you could again shift back to the first percentage of your mobile phase concentration. So why we do gradient method is that sometimes maybe your peak is eluting late, say 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So the runtime before the elution is like it is eating your time, eating your analysis time. So when you change the gradient, maybe when you increase the non-polar phase, the peak that was eluting at 15 minutes would elute at 5 minutes or 8 minutes, thus saving your analysis time. Now let's talk about the pH and pK relationship of your mobile phase and your analyte. What is this pK term? It is the negative base of 10 logarithm of the acid dissociation constant. In simpler terms, it's a number that tells you how acidic or basic a compound is. Now when mobile phase pH is too close to the analyte pKa, both ionized and non-ionized species will be present in the sample. And this will cause peak to split or have shoulders. And here's what happens with ionization. For weak acid, when pH is less than or equal to pKa -2, ionization is minimal and the compound behaves as less polar with strong retention. While when pH is greater than or equal to pKa +2, the weak acid undergoes complete ionization, becoming more polar with poor retention in reverse phase chromatography. And for weak bases, it's the opposite pattern. At pH below the pKa, bases become ionized and more polar, eluting earlier. At pH above the pKa, they are neutral and more retained. So for your practical guide, keep your mobile phase pH at least 2 units away from your compound's pKa for robust reproducible separation. If the pKa is close to ionization, your ionization efficiency won't be good and you'll lose sensitivity. So now let's talk about the last parameter in HPLC that you need to optimize so that you get a good chromatography technique. So now you have optimized your chromatography, you need to schedule your retention time properly, especially when you are analyzing multiple compounds. This is where scheduled MRM or sMRM is invaluable. Now scheduled MRM uses retention time scheduling to allow for the analysis of hundreds and thousands more transition in single method by assigning retention time to analytes and allowing the MS to scan for target MRM transition masses only during that narrow window of time when the analyte is expected to elute. And why is scheduling so important? Because if you're looking for hundreds of analytes and your chromatography isn't scheduled properly, the instrument will be trying to monitor all the transitions simultaneously. And if this happens, it will have lower resolution. You won't achieve good result and it won't be reliable. Thus, it is very important to schedule your MRM so that there is higher resolution and maximum sensitivity. So let's recap the essentials. To have a good chromatography technique, you need to optimize the column selection, particle size, temperature, flow rate, mobile phase selection, gradient elution strategies. You should know about the pH and pKa relationship, and you need to schedule your MRM methods. Take the time to optimize each component and you'll achieve clean, sensitive, reproducible result. So in our next video, we'll cover source optimization, which is the final part of LCMS method development. So I hope you liked the video, and if you have any doubt regarding this video, please do drop it in the comment section. Thank you.